There it is. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Governor's State Employees Food Drive virtual kickoff. My name is Amy Church, and I'm the Volunteer Program Manager for the Oregon Department of Human Services. And we are recording today's session, so feel free to be on camera or off camera as you're comfortable. We will be posting the link for this recording on the website for those who do miss the call. I'd like to ask my co-chair, Greg Ivers, to introduce himself, and then we'll ask our food bank representatives to introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Greg Ivers. I am the co-chair of the Governor's Food Drive along with Amy Church. So I work for Oregon Department of Human Services. I am the State Business Outreach Coordinator. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for your help.
Thank you. Josh, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Josh Gwynn. I am a Community Partnerships Coordinator at Marion Polk Food Share. I'm one of the representatives from the Oregon Food Bank Network or from Marion Polk Food Share, a regional food bank in the area.
Thank you. And Megan, would you like to go next?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Megan Davis. I'm a Community Philanthropy Coordinator, also with the Oregon Food Bank representative.
Thank you. And Katie, I know you're here from the food bank as well.
Yes, that's correct. I'm Katie Duffy, also here from the Oregon Food Bank.
Great. And I see that Taylor's with us from YCAP. Would you like to introduce yourself, Taylor?
Hi, I'm Taylor. I'm with YCAP, located in McMinnville, and I'm the development specialist.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and for your commitment to be your agency representative for the Governor's State Employees Food Drive. We do have a presentation that we'll be sharing, and then we will go into some breakout rooms to do some brainstorming. We'll come back to the main group after the brainstorming session, and then we'll do some share outs. And so I'm going to try to man all of the controls for the Zoom while doing the presentation. Josh and Katie Josh, Taylor, Katie, and Megan, if I forget something, please let me know. Feel free to come off mute and interrupt me. That's not a problem. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. We will have an opportunity to ask questions toward the end. So go ahead and either save your questions or put them in the chat, and we'll address those as we go forward. So right now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Thank you again for being here for the Governor's State Employees Food Drive kickoff meeting. We will be going through this presentation, and then, like I mentioned, we'll do the breakout rooms. Greg, if you could help me monitor the chat, that would be really helpful.
Yep, I can do that for you.
Thank you. Welcome, a stronger community, one meal at a time. Food has the power to heal us, to connect us, to make us stronger. Food solves hunger today by filling plates with nutritious meals. I'm going to put one last request to mute yourself if you're not talking. Josh, would you like to share some information about the Marion Polk Food Share?
Sure. So I'm Josh Gwynn again from Marion Polk Food Share. We are the regional food bank serving Marion and Polk counties, which kind of covers Salem, which many agencies are based out of Salem. So Marion Polk Food Share has long been one of the main kind of coordinators or in main regional food banks for this large food drive. But we're just one of 21 regional food banks. So Oregon Food Bank, or the Oregon Food Bank Network, is made up of 21 regional food banks, and we all work together to build a hunger-free Oregon and Southwest Washington. So this drive and all of the agencies that participate in it are really vital to our network and to building that hunger-free Oregon. As many of you may know, 1 in 10 Oregon neighbors are food insecure. So those are neighbors that might be shopping in line with you at Winco or at Fred Meyer or wherever you do your shopping. Sometimes the difference is, though, that because rent is really expensive and mortgage is really expensive, and especially around this time of year, gas is expensive, and they still have to pay for childcare, and their families are being thrown all of these really heavy balls to juggle. And we've decided as a society to not change the rules and not change the game, and to expect that some of these balls are going to drop, and then to judge families for having dropped them. So oftentimes families are forced to fill their shopping carts half full next to you in line in order for their kids to still have a meal, and maybe they're going to skip one themselves. So regional food banks say, hey, before you get to that point, or maybe after you've gotten to that point, bravely come to a food pantry that we serve, and we're going to give you a fresh and healthy abundance. After you've overcome all of that prejudice and all of those judgments, we want you to experience the fresh, vibrant colors that represent choice and dignity, and we want you to have a nice experience at a food pantry, especially knowing that the kids that you have, 1 in 8 of them in a school experience also experience hunger. And right now around the holidays, we know that hunger doesn't change, but you experience it more emotionally. So for all of the 21 regional food banks, we are very thankful for your support. And here at Marion Polk Food Share, we're extraordinarily thankful for your support, because we've worked so closely with all of you before, or for so long. So thank you to all of you who are thinking of your neighbors in need and stepping up to make donations, especially if they're payroll deductions. But I know we have others on the call that are excited to tell you the impact that it makes to their regional food bank, and what you could do specifically.
Thank you, Josh. See if I can get the video to work here. Are you able to hear the sound?
No, I don't think
No.
we're doing it.
Okay, 1 second. Thank you. I'm working on the sound. Give me 1 second here. I forget where that magic button is to allow the sound from my audio or from my computer.
Unshare and then reshare. And when you reshare, there should be in the little caret, there should be a little share sound with computer.
Thank you.
Because of our mission, we're working on the root causes of hunger, so that we are not just about getting people food today, but we're about putting ourselves out of business and creating a world in which hunger never happens. We are organized as a network that has existed for 40 years now, very collaborative, very local, very dispersed power, and lots of local leadership. So it's important to understand our structure. At the top, we have the more than 1 million people are asking for food assistance. They're served by 1,400 food assistance sites. And the vast majority of those food assistance sites are all volunteer run. So there are tens of thousands of volunteers who are helping directly distribute food out to folks. The food assistance sites are served by 21 regional food banks, so a warehouse that serves a couple counties. Oregon Food Bank runs 4 of the 21 regional food banks. Those 4 warehouses are located in Beaverton, Tillamook, the Dalles, and Ontario.
My name is Sheila Hyatt. I am the branch services manager here at Oregon Food Bank Southeast Oregon Services in Ontario, Oregon.
I'm Sharon Thornberry, and I'm the manager of Columbia Gorge Food Bank.
I'm Miss Carlson Swanson. I'm with Oregon Food Bank Tillamook County Services, and I'm the branch services manager. Being part of a statewide network is amazing. It allows us to work together to have more power in food acquisition And through advocacy, you know, we come together once, if not more, a year to go to Salem, to the Capitol, and talk about issues, either root causes of hunger or funds for serving food insecure individuals. We work together to have a slate of issues that we work to advocate for throughout the year.
So even though that we are approximately 360 miles plus from Portland, we still have the support that we need. Being a part of the Oregon Food Bank Network, we have a greater support system and are more able to respond effectively and efficiently.
Since COVID started, we've gained a lot more support because people understand the importance of having supplemental food, and so many more people have needed our assistance, and people have responded to support that.
One of the things that has struck me about the response during the pandemic is how critical it is to be leaderful, to have leaders at every level of a network. We have been successful at meeting the incredibly heightened need for food assistance during this pandemic because each individual food assistance site, 1,400 of them, made decisions to stay open and to serve their community through public health. And 21 regional food banks made those decisions, and Oregon Food Bank made those decisions, and our donors made those decisions. And so we are all working individually, but collectively towards the goal of keeping the food flowing. Oregon Food Bank's mission is to eliminate hunger and its root causes. People interpret root causes to mean poverty, but I would argue that poverty itself has a root cause, and it is systemic inequities. When we look through the history of our country, we see that there are people in poverty are people of color. They are trans folks, they are immigrants, they are women with small children and single moms. That we have designed systems that don't work well for our communities of color and other marginalized communities. These are systemic inequities. And we can't solve hunger unless we also solve those inequities. So we have to work on living wages. We have to work on access to healthcare. We have to work on racial justice, because all of these things lead to the conditions that sustain and perpetuate poverty.
Megan, it looks like you're up to tell us a little bit about the Oregon Food Bank and some more about hunger in Oregon.
Hi, I think Taylor is.
Oh, is Taylor going to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Taylor. I'm with the Whitecap Food Bank. So we're located in Yamhill County, and we have 40 partner pantries and meal sites that we distribute to. Whitecap's an interesting setup because we are a CAPO agency, so a community action partnership. And that means we have the regional food bank along with housing services, energy services, which is helping with utility bills, and youth outreach drop-in centers. So that's a little bit about YCAP, and I just wanted to thank everyone for doing these drives. It really helps fill the gaps in our funding and helps us have the resources to get the food out where it needs to go in our communities. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Taylor. So now we'll get into a little bit about what you need to know and some resources that are available to you as the agency coordinators. So the first thing that you'll want to review on our website is the Food Drive Handbook. And this is a comprehensive guide that has a lot of information in it, including how to utilize site coordinators. Part of the reason we're doing this kickoff meeting so early is so that you can recruit site coordinators to help with the food drive. Site coordinators are essential for those large agencies like ODHS or ODOT or the Department of Corrections. Having site coordinators can really help to increase the participation of different offices in the food drive. There's an agency coordinator checklist, some frequently asked questions, some fundraising ideas, There are tips on how to participate in the payroll deductions. We will be pushing the payroll deductions again this year. It is one of the best ways that we can support our food banks is through that payroll deduction. But we also want to give the opportunity for folks to have some in-office activities or virtual activities. Again, to also raise funds. There's information about the Governor's Challenge, which will remain at $12 a month for this year. There's receipting information, what funds will be collected, and some food bank hunger facts and information about the regional food banks. We also have the Food Drive website. This is an old picture as it's referencing the 2020 and 2021 information. We are working on updating the website. It's just not quite there yet. But you can find us on the Food Drive website at just oregon.gov/fooddrive. And you can start reviewing some of last year's information and whatnot from there. Oh, I'm using the wrong presentation. I have one more. Let me grab the other presentation really quick. Because I have I just realized I didn't update this slide. Oh. So, what funds will be collected? So we have checks that you can mail directly to the regional food banks. Credit cards, donations can be made on the regional food bank websites. If you do in-person or virtual fundraisers and you have cash to distribute, you can ask the regional food bank how they wish to receive cash, whether it's large bills or cashier's checks. And in the Salem area, we have an account with Heritage Grove Federal Credit Union. And so if you collect funds in your offices or outside of the payroll deductions, you can go to Heritage Grove and deposit those funds or use the coin counter to be able to consolidate those funds into the account that will then at the end of the food drive will be dispersed or distributed to the Miriam Polk Food Share, since that's the regional food bank for the Salem area. And then payroll deductions, of course, are really important, and they're made via a request in Workday, and we have a job aid for that that we've reviewed with with DAS Workday folks, and so that won't change. That process won't change this year. It'll be the same as last year for submitting a request in Workday. This is the list of regional food banks and their contact information. This will be a standalone document on the website. So if you need speakers to come talk to your sites, or you want to try to have food barrels on site because it's a great reminder of the food drive happening, even if you're not collecting a lot of actual physical foods, it's sometimes a good reminder to have that in the office. So your regional food banks are more than happy to help, and more than happy to share information and about hunger in your communities. Again, there's a job aid for Workday to submit to submit the request. And so it's a pretty straightforward process to do that. And then here's some coordinator resources and things you can do. You can use Hunger Facts and staff communications to show the extreme need for monetary donations to encourage payroll deductions and credit card donations. We have some videos on the Food Drive website that you can share, including the one that was that we just watched about the Oregon Food Bank. You can gather tangible donations from businesses to use as prizes or donor incentives or in silent auctions. And when you're collecting those tangible items or those donations from businesses, you cannot give a donation receipt. because the item is not going directly to the food bank. And so we do have a donation request letter and a thank you letter that can be sent out that will be posted on the website for you to use. Yes, Jennifer, we will provide, we'll be using the same forms that we used last year for those who do not use Workday. We will have forms for you to use for sharing your donation totals. So again, I just wanted to reiterate that you're not able to submit tax donation forms for people who donate prizes or items for your silent auctions or your donor incentives, but it's all going to a good cause, and the letter explains all of that. You can also gather donations from agency employees to use as prizes and incentives. And then you can consider having in-person fundraising activities or have some virtual activities. Last year, our agency did a pet contest where you paid to submit the photo of your pet, and then you paid for every time you voted. And so that was one way that we were able to include our virtual or remote workers in the food drive as well. So at this point, it's your turn. I'm going to ask if you have any questions at this time, and if not, then we'll go ahead and go into breakout rooms. So gaming, just a quick tip about gaming raffles. There are restrictions around raffles and restrictions around Monte Carlo or poker type events where you're paying for a chance to win something. There are some rules and regulations about that. We have a one of the documents that's on the website is about those gaming activities and who to contact if you need more information. Elliot, I see your hand up.
Hi, yes. I sincerely apologize if you covered this and I missed it. I'm doing several things at once, unfortunately. I missed the part why we are pushing payroll, other credit card or cash services. You said that was the best way and for us to give money to the food banks, and I was just trying to confirm on that.
So I'll let Josh tackle this one. Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
So the short version is we could provide the most amount of meals with that donation. So maybe there's two different reasons why it's impactful. So first is for the neighbors in need. For every dollar that is donated across the network, for every dollar that is donated, the network is able to provide 3 meals. So here at Marion Polk Food Share, if DLCD provides $10, we can multiply that impact into 30 meals, which is just incredible. If you were to take that $10 and go try to buy peanut butter, you might only be able to purchase at best, maybe 5 jars of peanut butter, something like that. We would be able to provide 30 meals worth out of that, which is just unbeatable. And that's because throughout our network, we have purchasing power, we have just the distribution fleet already available to us. We have thousands of volunteers ready to repack foods. So the purchasing power for us, or the value of that dollar, is just incredible. And should you become should you give in a payroll deduction, especially if it's sustained, especially if you're doing it every year, then regional food banks know that we can count on you. And we're able to kind of forecast our purchases. So if we see that there's that truckload of peanut butter down the road in November, even if maybe we don't have the funds right now in August or something like that, we know that DLCD has already committed in November and we can make that purchase. So that by far is just the most impactful way to go. The other branch of why that's impactful is just for the competition. So if you're looking to win the competition, like if you want the fun reasons why, you're going to multiply your impact, and you can beat the other agencies if you donate the most amount of dollars.
Thank you for
So-
the explanation.
Thanks, Elliot. And so there is a competition amongst agencies. We break you up into categories based on agency size. And then at the end of the food drive in April, after the food drive is over and we've done all the tabulations and calculations, we'll have a celebratory closing meeting in April where we'll give awards to the winners of the food drive activities. And so it's a really great way to let your folks know that there's a challenge, that agencies are competing against each other to see who can raise the most funds. And we'll have some fun prizes for, we'll have some fun trophies for those who win the agency competitions. Are there any other questions before we go into breakout rooms? I'm going to put you in breakout rooms for about 15 minutes. And this is your opportunity to brainstorm some different fundraising activities that you can do in your offices or that you can do virtually. And then we'll come back to the main group after that. Any other last minute questions? Okay. I'm gonna do, how many people are on here? 51. So we'll do 10 breakout rooms so that there's 5 people in each room. Let me just make sure. Oh, I'm looking to make sure that Greg and I and Josh and Megan are spread out amongst and Katie are spread out amongst the breakout rooms. So just bear with me 1 second here. Okay, here we go. Hi, Michael. Thank you for joining us. We just went into breakout rooms for some brainstorming. Would you like me to put you in a breakout room?
I think we have, so Christy Spoon also at Odo is here. So I was hopping on kind of in between meetings. So I don't want to splash into someone's breakout room and throw them off.
We just got started in breakout rooms, so it wouldn't throw anybody off if you wanted to join in. We're doing some brainstorming about fundraising activities, or you're welcome to hang out in the main room. We'll be here for about 15 minutes, so whatever you'd like to do.
What do you suggest?
I would recommend going into a breakout room.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and put you in breakout room 1.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. So let's give everybody like a minute or so.
Yeah, well, the breakout rooms will formally close in 19 seconds.
Oh, in 19 seconds. Okay. Thank you for timing that, Amy.
There's this great little alert on Zoom that says all breakout rooms will close in, and there's a countdown.
Well, I saw the 1 minute,
Yeah.
Marker there. So we wrapped up. My group did.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, we should have everyone back. Thank you so much. If you were off mute in your breakout rooms, please check to make sure that you're remuted now, because Zoom does not like to mute folks as they come back from the breakout rooms. Were there any questions that came up during your breakout sessions, or any great ideas that you had for fundraiser activities?
I have a question. Can you discuss a little bit more the pet contest that your agency did?
Sure. So it was all done on SharePoint on our intranet site. And so folks would email in a photo of their pet, and it was $5 to submit the photo of your pet to the contest. And then it was sent out to the whole agency, and everybody in the agency got to vote, and you paid to vote. And so it was, I think it was $5 to enter your pet, and then $1 to vote for each vote that you made for your on each one. And there was a form, I think, that we had in SharePoint that folks could fill out saying which ones they were voting on.
Yeah, pets are really popular. People love animals. I remember there was a request because during the pandemic, like sometimes an animal would just appear right on the screen. I was conducting training. I used to work for self-sufficiency programs as a policy analyst, and I was doing training one day, and my cat jumped up on my lap out of nowhere and put his head in front of the camera. It derailed everything. Everybody's like, "Oh, I love your cat. What's his name?" And I'm like, "Okay, I guess we'll pause. We'll talk about the cat." So I think that's a good idea to do that. Amy, there's a question from Laura with OLCC. If they're going to get weekly updates on their total giving. I know they're getting updates, but I can't remember what the intervals are for the updates. Do you remember?
Yeah, so Greg and I will get a report from Daz each week on the totals that have been submitted. So we'll get a report on Thursday of who's donated up to Thursday, and then on Friday we'll turn those around and send those out to the agencies to be able to, so you have a list of folks who have donated and a list for your totals. Someone asked about Cash Apps, Venmo, PayPal, Zelle, and how it might apply or be in play. We haven't really addressed that.
Josh has his hand up.
Go up.
Maybe he could answer it.
Well, I'll just say in regards to the Cash Apps, different regional food banks have different acceptance policies on things like Venmo or Cash Apps. And generally speaking, you can call to ask them about what their policies would be, or you could see that reflected on their giving pages. So on the State Employees Food Drive website, where we have the regional food bank list and their associated giving page, if you click on that, oftentimes you would see if they're accepting Venmo, or if they're accepting PayPal, or if they're accepting what have you. And that's going to vary by regional food bank, because there's different pay structures for all of those.
Thank you, Josh. I saw Elliot's hand up, and then we'll go to Dave.
Hi, yes. Sorry, not to bring up something that was already brought up, but questions on just a follow up on the pet voting thing via SharePoint. I'm still kind of a SharePoint noob. Is all of that, like voting and payment and everything, able to be set up all through SharePoint? Or okay, so that's something I might need to get with my IT team to talk about how to do that.
Stephanie is going to send me some information about what we did last time. for the pet contest. And so once I get that, I'll send that out to, or we'll post it on the website, or we'll make sure that you all have access to that
Super
information.
helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't the coordinator for that. This is my first time coordinating the Governor's Food Drive. And so other magical folks in our department have taken care of that. Dave, you had a question?
Yeah. So I have not been part of the food drive before, but I was part of another fundraising thing earlier this year with my organization. And in that, when people donated via their workday and their payroll, that ended up counting, but nothing else did towards our organization. So how can we be sure that our organization is getting the credit for other things besides just doing a payroll?
That's a great question, Dan. And we have a form for you to record those ad hoc or those external activities. So you'll collect those funds and deposit them into Heritage Grove if you're in the Salem area, or you'll give them directly to the regional food bank. And there's a form that we have that we provide to the agency coordinator so that you can fill that out and submit that so it's included in your final totals.
Can I add on to that?
Absolutely, Josh.
So there are a couple of best practices that I could add that would help you gain all the points possible. And this is generally true of most regional food banks. So if someone wants to write a check, that is fantastic. Regional food banks love checks. But an individual could just mail that check to the regional food bank. That said, it would then be a requirement of that individual, of one of your employees, to report that check to you so that you could add it to your totals. So I would recommend as a best practice for you to request from your employees to actually deliver you the checks. And then you would take the responsibility of mailing on bulk or to deliver to the regional food banks the bulk of those checks. So effectively treat checks like they're cash. Then all of those checks could be delivered in bulk. And then also that's beneficial to the regional food bank because we would see this whole big group as, OLCC has delivered 100 checks, and we could then appreciate all of those in one group as part of the drive. So that helps you, get the larger majority of things tracked more easily. And it also helps the regional food bank. And that's very similar to cash. Whereas if you're in the Salem area, take your cash to Heritage Grove. It's just easier. Or take it in one group to your regional food bank, to Marion Polk Food Share, or call to the regional food bank in your area and say, hey, would you like this delivered within a cashier's check? Would you like me to, take my change and make it into dollar bills and then deliver it to you? Sometimes that's easier than putting it on your employees because then they have to report that to you so that you can put it onto your report. If it's not on the report, it doesn't count. So payroll deduction is the easiest because you're going to get a report of that. Everything else, as long as you can get a report of it, we'll be able to track it.
Thank you, Josh. And you had your hand up. Did you have something else that you wanted to say?
It was basically to add to that. There were some questions in the chat all regarding that. So
perfect. Thank you. Are there other questions? As I mentioned, we're getting the food bank website updated, or the food drive website updated with all of the materials. We'll send an email out to let you know when all of those materials in the website is up to date. We're happy to, the email address I'll put in the chat. We will not be using Facebook this year. We're removing that from our from the website and from our flyer that we'll be providing. it's just too much to manage for the Facebook and for the little return that we get. We have very little participation on the food drive Facebook page. And so we're going to go ahead and not do that this year. Go ahead, Josh.
I don't want to take all of the time, but we had a really fun idea in our group where the Department of Forestry, they have a creek in their on their property, and so they do I'll get the name wrong, but like a ducky drive where they have ducks float, and they, you have to like pay to have an entry, and then the winner gets to pay more. The winner gets to like donate more, and I thought that was super fun. My addition to that, which is pretty reflective of most regional food banks, is we want in on it. Like of course, have the donations benefit us, but we want pictures of that. We want a video of that. Like we want in all the extra ways. So make meals with us through the donation, but allow us to make meals by like sharing that on social media or by telling our other supporters about that, because that is so fun and so creative. That let us in on that action, because that's just so fun. So don't feel that you have to save our time or like just do something and benefit us. Like send us an email, give us a call and say, hey, we're doing this thing. What do you want? Or can you be there? Hey, we have 100 employees getting together. Can you come speak to us? Those kind of things. Regional food banks want a relationship with you. We want those pictures and whatnot. So especially if you're doing something with like ducks floating in a river, that's really fun.
That is a super fun idea. I love that. Any other ideas that came out of your breakout rooms that you'd like to share? Some fun ones, some that we talked about in our breakout room were paying to get to wear jeans on a day other than Friday, or if you work in a more formal work environment, that's really usually a big draw, is being able to wear jeans to the office. That usually does pretty well. What are some of the other ideas that you all had?
We talked about some things I talked about at the in-person event that we had recently. When I was a local site coordinator a number of years ago, we had a book sale. So we had a table set up and people would bring in and donate books they didn't want. They were like $1 for paperbacks, $2 for hardbacks, and then, Laura, I would pay for sweatpants. Yeah, I think a lot of people probably would. And then the next year, what I did, since the book sale was so successful, was I set up basically a flea market. So I got a couple more tables, and they were in the back area, right? Not the public area. So they were in the back area, and people could come in and they could donate items from their house that they didn't want, and then price them. And I made sure they were priced reasonably, reminding them the money's not coming to you, so let's price it to sell, so the money comes in. If you do a book sale or you do a flea market, like I did too, it does involve you having to police it every day, because people would just come in and put new stuff on there. So what I told my group was we had a debate about women's romance novels with the racy covers, and everything. But we decided, well, it's really not showing that much skid, so I guess it's okay. So we went ahead and allowed that. And then with the flea market too, my example I would always use when I would email people to remind them to bring appropriate items is no old shoes, because that was the first thing that I banned, was like, no, you can't bring old used shoes, and no one wants those. So yeah, like creating sales, because sales are good because people get something for the money, right? So when they get to take something with them, that's a really cool thing. The other thing, like we talked about, and these are my ideas, so anybody from my group is welcome to chime in, was creating competitions. And I think Stephanie from ODHS District 1 had said they had done competitions. They did it between programs, like between self-sufficiency programs and child welfare. So, for who can raise the most money, but you could also do it between rival offices that are close by. So in District 1, North Coast, that would be like maybe Tillamook and Astoria, or Tillamook, Astoria and St. Helens, and, looking at that thing. And I said, even like getting like some purchasing some cheap little trophy, something really inexpensive that they could have. And then the next year, then other offices would have the opportunity to take it from them by raising more money than those offices. Those kinds of things are really fun. And a lot of people are very competitive. And so they really like to win. And Josh just put something in there. Oregon Corrections Enterprises historically did a lot of printing for state benefit, calendars, etc. Yeah.
Great.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Go ahead, Cami.
Thanks. I thought I'd share a kind of a fun spin on a bake sale.
Yeah.
This is kind of an in-person activity, but my department at the University of Oregon used to do, and I think that they're bringing this back this year as a bake-off. So, the folks would pay to kind of enter an item that they had baked or made, but then obviously you would also pay to get like a plate to then kind of taste the different items. I think that's fun because obviously you get to try a bunch of things instead of just sort of buying like a brownie. It also fostered like just some great team atmosphere because we were all kind of hanging out and comparing notes on what we had tasted. And, it was blind. You didn't know who had made what. And we gave little, not prizes, but bragging rights for the folks who made like the best kind of things. So that was really fun. Some ideas that I've heard from others that I thought were great is like the idea of sort of a mystery bag for a raffle. So instead of like raffling off a specific item, really playing up the like, it could be anything. What is it? So just something to kind of like drum up a little bit of just fun there. Like, what is it in the mystery bag that we're raffling?
I really like that. That's a great idea. I mean, they even do that like with like at Target. I'll see like these boxes and they've got a little action figure or some little thing in it that with a theme like Harry Potter or something. What's in your Harry Potter box? And people buy those because it's fun. It's like, what did I get this time, right? So yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea.
Another one that I heard was it's kind of a little bit more of sort of an in-person, but people pay $5 to get their photo taken in front of a green screen, and then someone will kind of Photoshop you into the background of your choice. So it's fun for the hybrid work environment though, because we all obviously have profile pictures that we're using in this remote work space.
That's fun. I think that one thing I just remembered too is when I used to work for Oregon Employment Department a long time ago, and I worked in the field. In the office we worked at, the manager would always say, if we reach this dollar threshold, then I'll do something crazy. Like one year he kissed a pig is what it was, right? Somebody had a pig and they brought in their baby pig and he kissed it, and there was a photo, and then somebody blew it up and put it up in the employee lunchroom, right? For a while was back there. And then one year also he said, if you individually donate a certain amount, then you get a chance to throw a pie at me. And he did that, and it was out on the back patio area. And one year he actually set up he brought in a dunk tank and had said that too. You get to try to dunk me if you individually, for as many people as donate a certain dollar threshold. So that's kind of fun. You have to have a pretty kind of adventurous manager, right, to be willing to do that. But it worked. It really, really worked. I shouldn't say this, but especially for the employees that didn't care for him, they ended up donating a lot of money for that opportunity to throw a pie at him. Anyway, it was something fun.
And I just want to caution you on dunk tanks and things like that.
Yes,
there are
of
risks
course.
associated with that. And
this was years ago.
Yeah. So Desk Risk Management has asked us not to encourage dunk tanks.
It was an example. Don't do the dunk tank, clearly, but yeah.
But yes, fun activities where there's an opportunity to embarrass your leadership is always fun.
See, Laura says we did a beavers duck competition because our top executives rival with their team. People paid to put either a green or orange balloon in the other person's office, trying to fill the office with rival color. That's fun.
That is fun.
Yeah.
Any other ideas that you'd like to discuss or share with us? All of the reporting materials and the logistics and everything will be on the website. So I don't want to, I trust that you can all go there and get the materials you need. We'll send an email out to all of the coordinators when the website is updated. Laura, I love that. We tried to get the loser to wear the rival color for a day so they wouldn't agree to that. But they wouldn't go that far. That's funny.
That is funny.
Christy, you have your hand up.
Hi, I wanted to know how long this runs. How much time do we have?
So it kicks off on February 1st and ends on February 28th. So just the month of February.
Okay.
And so if you do activities outside of that month of February, they do not count toward your totals for the food drive competition.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking. Any other questions? Elliot.
Hi, yes, sorry. Just to confirm, you're going to be sending out follow-up emails with information and links like to the SharePoint and stuff like that to all of us, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Terrific, thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone have tips on how they've handled the recipe exchange or cookbook fundraisers? Can anyone speak to that?
I can, yes, we did that last year. We provided a link to an cookbook. Anyone that wanted, I believe, could submit the recipes, but then those that donated, I believe we had like a $10 limit or minimum. So as long as they donated $10 or more and sent us their names, we included them in the receipt of those that would get it. We didn't require proof or anything. It was on our system. And if I'm forgetting anything, I think Ingrid Claudel is on this as well. She helped me participate, but I believe that's how we did it.
So did you collect the recipes and put them in like a PDF? And
Yes,
then
we
post it on
created exactly. Yeah, I think I created either a PDF or a Word document and later converted it to PDF. That was kind of like a booklet. And then once that was done, saved it as a PDF form and then linked it somewhere in our share drive and sent that link out to those that participated.
Perfect. Thank you. One thing to note is if you're planning to do in-office or virtual activities, make sure, I forgot to mention, but make sure you get manager approval before you initiate any activities. I'd hate for you to get started on something and then not have support from your leadership. And that kind of relates to the question about tips on paying to wear PJs or sweats to work day. I think you'd have to negotiate that with your leadership and make sure it's okay with them. And then you would just collect the funds and give them to your regional food bank.
I think if you work with the public, like you have a lobby, people come in, that's going to be problematic. What we did when I worked for OED is we convinced the manager to let us do jeans on Friday if we donated, to the food drive. So we had signage up on the doors so that when clients came in, it was, we're wearing jeans on Fridays to support the governor's food drive. And we donate money we donate funds to do this. And that worked okay because then the clients didn't think we were unprofessional, right, when they were coming in.
Yeah.
Since that agency has a dress code.
Good to know. Thanks.
Yeah.
And it looks like ODF did an e-cookbook that's ongoing this year. That's fun. Fun to carry on from previous years too. Any other questions or thoughts or ideas? Any tips on working from a field office while being the coordinator? I don't work in our main office in Salem. What agency are you with?
This is Tanya. I'm with Department of State Lands.
Okay, thanks, Tanya. I wasn't sure what your name was because of the name on Zoom. So do you have a contact in your central office that you can work with?
I mean, there's the person that appointed me.
Yeah.
But she's really high up in the organization.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I might have to find someone else.
Yeah. So do you have a communications, someone who helps send out communications and things to your agency?
Yes.
So
Sure.
I would partner with that person because
Okay.
then we have some template emails that you can send out to your colleagues and folks that work for your agency, and you can cobble those into different communications. So I would work with your communications person to work on the messaging piece.
Okay. And how about the collecting of cash?
The collecting of cash, folks would have to send that to you, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
And
just
then
have to
you
go to
would just,
Salem more.
yeah, or you could or they could, let's think about that. And yeah, I'm not sure how field offices, if it's a field office that's doing the coordination for the whole agency, how that works. Usually we have someone from the central office that's doing that, but I would recommend connecting with your communications person. And then if you're doing any in-person events or things like that, I would just get the funds to the regional food bank for where that's near where you live. That would still count toward your totals. So if you live in Portland and central office is in Salem, you don't have to drive to Salem to deposit the funds. You could just give the funds to the Oregon Food Bank.
Okay.
Will you be sending us a link to the recording to all of us? Yes, we will send the link. This meeting will be posted on the website, and we will once it's posted on the website and all the other website things are updated, we will send you an email, and you can find this recording there, as well as other videos. Any other questions or comments? I want to say thank you again to everybody for stepping up to serve as your agency coordinator. I know some of you were probably voluntold to do this, but it is an important way that we can help our communities and support those that have food insecurity. Yes, thank you for all of the ideas, everyone. If there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. We do not have any follow-up meetings scheduled, Bob, but if you have questions or need support, please email the Food Drive email address, and we can forward those questions up to our planning committee. We have a statewide planning committee that some of you sit on as well. And so we can, if you have questions or concerns, we can forward those up to the planning committee to get their perspective on it. Thank you so much for everybody.